to retain more control.
So how will this look like for now? I gotta have to say, so far, with these first 3 picks, Philippines have got a very strong composition already. They have got lane priority in the EXP lane from the side of the lead since the Hilda is not gonna be seeing the light of day. So we're good on that. Middle lane, we don't really have a very good idea just yet, at least for the Aurora as well as the Vexana. It's still currently available, so we just gotta leave it that. It still can be picked up on the side of Philippines. While the aggressiveness coming in from the Jawhead, I'm pretty sure that when it comes down to who was that again? Vivero. I'm pretty sure that Vivero should be able to do a pretty decent job in being able to catch up some of these heroes, especially if Hylos would just draw the curtains and immediately put down the Glorious Pathway. That is the point in time where you can actually bring the Hylos even deeper, where everyone can just crunch down onto it.
Yeah, what Philippines will need from this point onward is a little bit more burst damage that can really follow up on the Jawhead. I think grabbing things like the Vexana is totally fine. Kadita is actually quite good as well when combined with the Jawhead, because they just want to have that strong mid-roam duo that's able to start affecting the map straight from the beginning. As for Indonesia, looks like they're going to be focusing a bit more towards the gold lane side, banning out that Moskov, and basically trying to limit the Philippines specifically to early game gameplay so that Harif can have lane priority and is a little bit harder to gank even with more aggressive heroes.
So with the CC being thrown into the batting pool from the side of Philippines, we've got a Moskov as well as Vexana taken away from Indonesia. Aurora is still currently available. Philippines may choose to go for an Aurora ban if they do not want it to go over to the hands of Indonesia, because the Harif has already been taken. So the moment that you actually pair the Harif together with the Aurora, that pretty much just means that they have a very solid answer to anyone that tries to run away from the Zaman Force. Or in fact, it's a great follow-up just so that they will be able to extend the longevity of Harif in the Zaman Force.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I am thinking of like other mages that can be picked up here for both of these teams actually, and I am still very, very surprised at how rarely we have been seeing Eve and Loyi. These are two very highly contested mid laners on like the general professional scene, the Valentina as well, right? And we just never get to see them. There's a greater priority for things like Kadita in exchange, right? And why not go for the more reliable heroes that can really open up the map, set up team fights, set up ganks more easily, and just generally have good scaling?
Yeah, so now the ball is on the court in Indonesia. They have decided to take the Kadita. Definitely not what I expected at this point in time. That means Philippines have got quite a lot of choices that they can go for when it comes down to the mages. You mentioned about Loyi, and I always thought that Loyi is also and always a very strong pick, especially going up against the Harif. It is the kind of invisible damage that you gotta have to really respect, especially if there's a big beefy front line such as Hylos that is constantly over there. This way, you will always be able to stack those yin and the yang constantly and bring everyone together. That is probably what is one thing that would get the Harif to be really afraid of continuously chrono dashing within of his own Zaman Force just because of the rotation.
But they go for the Faramis instead. Also fairly popular around here when most of the other more common options are no longer viable. That should definitely deal with the Kadita quite well, actually. As long as the Faramis tracks Zinni's position, then the NetherRealm will always be able to deny a free kill on the rough waves regardless of situation. I'm not too sure how I feel about the carry pickup, because she really isn't that effective anymore. But it can still definitely work. Like her dueling ability once she has the Trinity is actually kind of hard to deal with.
So carry to really deal with the Hylos, so they would have an answer to the front lines, especially since they picked up a Faramis who is not necessarily super good at being bursty to one person and would have a lot of problems to actually take down this Hylos. While Indonesia, they finished it up by picking and Alert. So that's an initiative tool from the side of Indonesia. We've got a pretty tanky front line from the side of Hylos. Wow, honestly, it's kind of tough for me to really put a finger on this. Like, how is this gonna look like and how is this gonna work out? Lane priorities on it, Jazz. What do you think, Samantha?
I do still kind of like the Filipino lineup just a little bit more because it permits more active action against something like a Hayabusa. So if it's successful for them, they can immediately start messing with things. Because to be honest, Hylos Kadita doesn't offer the best mid-roam lane priority overall, so they can actually start by invading if they choose to. But Indonesia can be pretty good at snowballing, and with the Arlet Hylos combo, they actually have a surprising amount of teamfight control that could set up for really big rough wave plays.
Honestly, all I'm looking out for truly is the early game as to how are they gonna be snowballing a tempo towards their lead, right? With Philippines that have very strong control in the EXP lane and will be able to unlock pretty early. You got El Puerto that's playing as the Suyo along with Vero that's just working along onto that jaw ahead. I think it's relatively fair to say that Indonesia's mid lane might be a little bit afraid for whenever the Suyo and as well as the Khalid decides to head to the middle lane. I find that Sydney might be in a lot of threat by the hands of Philippines eventually.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've already seen how difficult Kadita can be to play if your opponent has the right tools. So far, we can see Philippines actually gonna be trying to be aggro on Vival. That's exactly what they should be doing.
And now it's just gonna be a complete lockdown on the side of Diagon. Immediately taking Diagon out. Definitely not the definitely not the situation that we were expecting. Since Indonesia now took one kill away from Philippines, even though Philippines is the one that's technically speaking supposed to be the aggressive one.
And hold on.
Ooh. Vivero, next one on the count, flickers herself away. And she's gonna be fine for now, but unfortunately, that is a very big battle spell that has been expended.
Yeah, that's a lot of resources used by the Philippines, and they don't really get anything. Not to mention, Diagon is the EXP laner and became the first blood, so that might mess with her EXP a little bit. No, actually, the lane was already frozen, so Diagon, luckily, not gonna be affected too much from this. But I do think that she probably made the call to go and harass Vival without waiting for a response from the team.
Now, there's a quick little nether realm for the side of the Mortis. While the rest of the side of Indonesia decided to not continue with a fight against the Mortis, since it is pretty much annoying to deal with the Nether Realm, so to speak. Now, with all of the rotations coming in, through and through, Indonesia seems to be able to clear out their waves pretty fast in the EXP lane, and just we've got the Arl that's already heading heading away down to the bottom side, or rather the middle side. So it's all about gaining control over to the river line once again. Whoever is able to get the information, as long as whoever's going to be opening up the maps, is always going to be fine and dandy. As now Vivero heads herself find the face of Vivian, not going to be able to find anything yet.
I'm a little bit worried for the Philippines here. With the draft that they have, they really should have gotten 1 or 2 kills under their belt by now, but Indonesia has been doing actually a very good job of just freezing them in place in these first couple of minutes and not really allowing for overextension into the jungle.
Oh, almost there, but the Nether Realm keeps Mortis alive, at least for now. It's a lot of intense as well as very aggressive plays from the side of Indonesia, but unfortunately haven't really quite found any dividends just yet.
Yeah, not quite yet here. So this is very similar to what we were seeing in game number 1 as well. These teams are surprisingly evenly matched. And even when it seems like one side should have greater advantage in the first couple of minutes of the game, you can see that they're both very good at knowing their limits and just how far they can extend on the map. So you can see that display, you can see that experience where they are not going to be caught out too easily, and we're not going to see many mistakes right at the beginning of the game, because that is when their minds are going to be the freshest overall. So an endurance of battle is what ends up wearing down the wits of these two competitors.
Now, the turtle is going to be brought out by the hands of Alberto. And now Diagon even trying to push Vivian away, but I don't think that this fight is going to go too well for the side of Indonesia for now, as the net realms is going to be popped immediately, ensuring that Alberto as well as Amores is going to be fine for now. But all the way at the backside, Vivero was hoping that it will be able to do something against the side of Vival as well as City, but that didn't work out so well. Indonesia 6 kill from that team fight.
I'm actually very impressed by Vival's timing in that one. Vivero specifically committed Unstoppable Force onto her in the way back line to try and make sure that she was stunned when the turtle dropped her retry timing. But the instant quad shadow in and retry, and then the reversal to pick off Rivero for it, Indonesia looking pretty comfortable right now. And if they're able to continue getting kills onto Vival specifically, this Hayabusa can become a threat very quickly.
A quick Laura's pathway, which unfortunately did not quite connect very well. It is all about a game of attrition. Since both teams, they haven't really managed to find too much of the lead in the early stages. No, Vivero, no! Wait, never mind. Well, she's tanky enough. And now she's tanking up every single one of the shadow kill. But Vival still finds those shurikens right in the face of Vivero.
This is a very unusual situation. A Jawhead should normally be able to handle a Hayabusa pretty well, but Vivero and Team Philippines, having been put quite behind at this stage, isn't actually tanky enough to deal with the damage that Vival has. And now that it's 2 kills on the Hayabusa, it's lucky for PH that Vival doesn't have the Sky Piercer yet. Otherwise, this early game would already just be over.
Now Indonesia, I think that they want to do a little bit of comeback gaming against the side of the Philippines. For the Reggie Sandstorm plans for the 2 is not going to do too much though. Bastini went over to the back line and really wanted to do quite a number on the opponent, but wasn't able to do quite much. Vivero, the one that goes down from the side of Indonesia. Indonesia have constantly been able to get kills, but Philippines on the other hand hasn't really managed to find anything yet.
Yeah, the team fights from the Philippines are actually incredibly messy. We are now starting to see a little bit of the team Indonesia that has gotten this far into the grand finals through the upper bracket. They are so good at these scrappier team fights and at identifying weak points in the enemy formation. Cine being able to find Amores in the middle of all that chaos before the Netherrealm could be popped instantly won the game for Indonesia. So Philippines needs to take a more structured approach to this. They gotta make sure that they have information on all of their opponents before they full commit.
Oh, Amores. Oh, gets taken down by Fumi Echo with the final slash. Alberto joins into the fray. Was hoping they will be able to do a decent amount on convert to the opponents, but with that all said and done, it's not gonna be looking all that well at all. It's gonna be tough for them to even do anything from this point, as Philippines lost the tier 1 turret.
Yep, things are going exactly how Indonesia wants them, and I feel like every single time we say that we like a particular draft a bit more, that draft ends up not doing very well. It's a very weird situation because Indonesia should not really be that strong early on compared to something like a Jawhead and Khalid, but they are outplaying Philippines in every turn.
Now Indonesia, they don't have got the Summon Force available for the next upcoming fight, but you can definitely tell the Philippines, they are finding themselves in a difficult spot. And take a look at this. Cine timed the rough waves as the Mortis took time to get out of that Nether Realm silent state. That is why it's so difficult to play against a Kadita, and in this case, Cine is just piloting that Kadita to a T.
Based on the few Kaditas that I've seen throughout this tournament, I personally feel like Cine is actually just the best performer on this hero overall. So if Philippines are gonna continue down the line banning Kadita, I would agree with it somewhat. The ability to identify opportunity is strong in this player, and the fact that she was able to get that previous kill even without relying on Petrify means that she has the ability to go for another combo.
As Vivero goes into the Unstoppable Force, connects down to the deep and flickers herself away, gets caught into the Netherrealm, so she's gonna be fine and dandy for now. Well, Indonesia, the last slash, final slash is gonna be landing, but the rough waves dealing quite a bit of amount of damage, but no one is gonna be going down just yet. Vivero survives with a slipper. Oh, never mind. Till with gifted synchro vision. There was quite a good amount. And Vivian as well. Look at all of these people that is getting away with just a hair to the name.
Man, I feel like game 1 and game 2 of these grand finals can be put in a textbook for what it means between a team playing comfort and not. Indonesia is performing like a completely different lineup in game number 2 compared to what we saw in game 1 when they had to play more for scaling around the hero like Link. Here, they're going for snowballs, they're going for scrappy fights, they are counter-engaging onto the Philippines and perfectly identifying cracks in the armor that they can break right open. The game so far has been so one-sided. 9 kills to 0.
One thing that I also have realized is the fact that it is a brave smite that has been picked by Perez. So this is a little bit of like a kind of like an old-timer carry back then, where we started to see a little bit of that tanky carry being picked up. I think that is more about just the laning phase, and that's why the brave smite has been bought. But all the itemizations and all that kind of stuff is still gonna be your significant and your typical Holy Trinity. So working his way, as long as Vivero is able to find those nice catches right onto Perez, I think that there could still be a chance for Philippines to be able to play a little bit more of that pick-off composition against Indonesia. Since Indonesia really wants to play together as 5, we need to look out for Philippines being able to find these small little pockets of victory.
Yeah, but you know, Shell also just got Holy Crystal a moment ago, and now they are pushing straight in.
It doesn't seem like things are going to be looking great for Vivero. They are not able to pick off anyone at all. Perez immediately dashes away while Diagon goes in with a quick sand gun, hoping that she will be able to stay alive. But unfortunately, Chell is just dealing a little bit too much damage. And I don't think that a Soul 7 from the side of Alberto will be able to do enough to get a kill down in Indonesia. But at least clearing out the way, as well as killing the Lord, is more than enough as Indonesia knocks on to the inhibitor turret in the middle lane.
They didn't even end up losing anyone in that previous exchange, even though they're inside the Filipino base. This game has been so one-sided that the crystal is gonna be taken down like it doesn't even exist. Game 2, the total opposite of the opening of the grand finals, as Indonesia evens it up 1-1.
Indonesia with their brawl games